Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Marcin Mazurek. I'm going to spend with you next 30, 40 minutes, maybe, and we end with Kanban. I want to share with you a story that, got through our company and through Allegro. The road to Kanban, before Kanban, and through Kanban, what lessons have we learned during this transformation and using Kanban. So maybe we will find some hints useful for you during your implementation of Kanban. How many of you have heard about Kanban? Anything? Lots of you. Cool. How many of you is using actually Kanban? Okay. Some trying. Okay, struggling. Okay. Everywhere is the same, So, some information about me, as you can hear, I'm Polish, If you will have problems understanding me, blame my Scottish English teacher, He is the reason. It's not me, it's he. I'm in IT since ever I remember, since having my first Atari 65. And I used to be working as I think, in every area of web scale systems, as a developer, as a sysadmin, as a network admin, with a bunch of cool and fancy certificates from Cisco. Every area probably I've touched during those 15 years when I was earning money actually on IT. I'm Polish, as I said. Right now I'm working as a head of infrastructure for several years in Allegro company. I will say some more about Allegro later on. I have a husband, father, soon to be father again. Rock on. And what? And that's it, Let's go. So if you would ask what is Allegro in Poland, everybody would smile or laugh. Allegro is generally the same thing as eBay in US or all over the world. We've managed to kick out eBay from Poland and Eastern Europe several years ago. Actually, thank you again. It was started, Polish branch office was started by a guy from Allegro, but he didn't manage, lucky us. So Allegro right now is an e-commerce company, and we've got plenty of them. Allegro Group itself is like a bunch of 60, 70 companies with over 100 different services. All around transactions, all around e-commerce payment sites, classifieds, free classifieds, auction sites, marketplace, price comparisons, everything you can think of. Everywhere you can make some money on transaction and support user in buying stuff. We are there all over Europe, up to Kazakhstan, in Russia, in Ukraine, and Poland, and all those countries, So, the story, how it all started, I've joined the company like 9 years ago, and I was a third administrator in the company, in Allegro. And the company was around 100 people. It's already on the market for 15 years. And I was the only guy who knew about BGP, IPv4, IPv6, and all this stuff. I was the only one who found that on the back logs on firewall, on Cisco, will decrease load massively on those stuff. And we were working all together. There was like 20 people in IT, and it was easy. We were sharing all together, all in one open space. It was easy to collaborate, to talk, and to have fun, and to go for a beer. As time passed, the company was growing. Right now Allegro is around 5,000 people across Europe. So in terms of Europe, when you look from the European perspective, it's a medium-sized, large company. And we were looking for some methodology of doing stuff better. We didn't share the floors, we didn't share the open spaces anymore. We had 20 guys in operations, we had 100 people in development, and we started to look for some kind of solutions. So we came up with ITIL, with the guys from UK that developed it as a methodology of managing IT as a whole, building different processes and describing processes, how it should work. And we thought that this was holy grail for us, we really believed it. And we started to get familiar with it and get a lot of trainings, around different teams, around development and operations and all the people. And we thought this is the thing that is going to save us and help us, to manage our IT. So we got into IT very deeply. We started to we started to work on different processes like in incident management, problem management, configuration management, and we've had a feeling that it actually helps us to describe how we work, to start to measure some things, just instead of just fighting with the capacity and growth. It really made our work easier. But through the time we were implementing these processes and we were working with those processes, somehow development department started to float away, from us, and there started to be some gap between operations and development. We were building all those ticket systems with SLAs, with a bunch of other tools, and development department, started to somehow work in a different way. So meanwhile, something happened in companies like several years ago, and we got this agile revolution. One day it was 2011, November, 11th of November. That was a huge meeting. The whole IT, gathered, and we do Scrum from now on. And I was like, what? Grooming, Scrum, planning, retrospective, and all those stuff daily. And we're like standing like, how we are going to do that in operations, how we gonna to keep, our SLA and uptime and all the things, deploying servers and all the stuff. And we knew that it's gonna cause them some problems, and it did, Actually, organization went into two different directions, The development department started to use these agile methodologies, and it was okay, and it was good, and we saw the value of it. And we were stick to this Kanban ITIL thing, and it caused us a lot of problems. So the result could be just one, We were stuck with this. Nobody was happy. We were complaining because it was so dynamic, nobody was planning anything. It was just, we will fail the sprint if you won't do this for us. And we have got procedures, we've got SLAs, we've got ticketing systems, Those two words just clashed together and it just wasn't working. So we started to search for some solution. We started to search for solution, how we can change our operations organization, how we can change our infrastructure team to work with Scrum better. So the first thing we do, we get rid of silos. So this is the first thing, we came up, and we got rid of network departments, sysadmins, DBAs, all this stuff. As you've seen in the beginning, we have a bunch of products. So we created like a Scrum teams and appropriate sysadmins, network admins that are supporting certain products. So these are payment sites, classifieds, all the other things, and some shared services like data center, cloud, OpenStack, and all other things that are shared across different teams. So it helped a bit, but they were still using this IT methodology and the same tools as previously. So we had to do a next step and find some other way of working and cooperating with Scrum teams. So we came up with Kanban, as we were looking for some kind of solution and reading about the agile, lean. Kanban seemed to be like the only right thing that we should do. Kanban is coming from Taichi Ono, the guy from Toyota, who was using it in manufacturing and improving some processes, linear processes. And work in operations can be seen as a linear process of doing some stuff. So we thought this is the thing that we should do, we should implement. Especially it's coming from the same, let's say, family of methodologies, and it uses kind of same language and same techniques. Sometimes when I'm explaining what Kanban is to various people, I'm talking about this pipe, When you're looking at the operations team, supporting some product, it's like a pipe with certain diameter, when you can put certain amount of work in this pipe, certain amount of water, no more, pipe has a limit, pipe has a limit. Has also a limit of length, there is a start and there is an end. So to get through this pipe, it takes some time. It's your lead time, how you produce things. You can't change it, You can limit it, you can work on it, but there is some time. Sometimes there is a waste inside, that some obstacles that cause that it's hard, to get through this pipe, and you have to work on it. And this is usually like working operations looks like. And this is how our work looked like, like this pipe with many waste inside. So most of you heard about Kanban and used Kanban, or is using Kanban. This is just a basic board, Kanban board that we started with. Nothing special, the backlog, things that you got to do that is coming to you as a team, things that you decide that you do first, things that you are working on currently, and things that are already done. Important thing about this, that you have to define some limits, How many things can be, in this column, in this to-do block, how many things can you do and what in one time to avoid concurrency, to avoid overflowing over this pipe. Let's say the pipe has a diameter. It can accept no more than 2 tasks at a time. So you have to keep those limits. And it looks pretty easy if you have several tasks in this backlog and you move those tasks to do. You decide those 4 are the most important tasks in your work. You grab those 2 and put it into progress. So on those 2 you are working currently. Those 4 are waiting to be done. And then when you are done with this thing, you just grab another thing. You just pull those things through the Kanban board, and that's it. This is the basic, rule, basic process implemented on Kanban board in the simplest Kanban board that you could start with. Why did we choose Kanban? Because we are looking for a common language. We were learning people and teaching people about IT and those languages, about SLAs, service management, and all those stuff. And Kanban used the same language as Agile thing and as Scrum teams. We wanted to also be transparent. People were complaining a lot about that we are like a black hole. You are throwing ticket in some ticketing system and you know where it comes out. There is some SLA, but nobody knows when it comes out of this thing. So Kanban gives you some transparency using these boards and priorities. It's always easier when you invite per product owners or the people that you are working with to your Kanban board and ask them, out of this backlog, which things would you like me to do first? What are your priorities? Please help me, I can do that many things, This is my limit of work in progress. Tell me what to do. You decide, And it's fair, and it's open, and it's transparent. So we've been using Kanban for 2 years already. It's around 100 people is using it in operations, providing different services for 500, 600 developers right now. And I would like to share some lessons that I got from using Kanban through this time. So lesson 1 is getting allies. When we started to implement Kanban, we were talking a lot with our CIO, CTO, all the top management, all the people that were, all the people that were using, that were our customers, and also, with people that we work for. But it's very important, and this is what we missed, it's to talk with internal allies. Sometimes you have senior system administrators. Sometimes you have got some experts inside the teams, and those people will help you to get through it. Even implementing Kanban and selling it as a way of working, is a change inside the organization and inside those teams. Getting those internal allies will help you get through it. Making this first step. There are some obvious, improvements, obvious things that will help those teams work and get less this bad words from the other teams. So getting allies not only from the IT management and the product owners, but also inside allies will help you a lot. Trainings. Of course, we had a training. During this Scrum transition, we hired some external coaches that were doing this Scrum transition inside the company and were helping us. So it was obvious that we first started to talking with them, can you teach us Kanban, how to do it, how to work? You know our developers, you know how to do it, so show us, And we had a bunch of different workshops and trainings through the managers of the team, through the teams itself, but there was one problem, The guy that was doing those trainings was a developer from the very beginning, He never worked in operations, he never worked with operations, so he knew like just one side of the coin, let's say, and it was hard to explain him what are the problems sometimes in operations when you have to deal with some stuff and incidents and site failures and security incidents and all this stuff. So training people is one thing, and it's pretty obvious. You have to teach people how to do it. But getting the right trainer is a very important step. So what we did through this time, implementing Scrum, we internally we developed some lean coaches inside the organization, and we just, after some time, we moved them to operations. And they've seen both worlds, from one side development and one side operations, and they're up to date, till today they are working with both sides and trying to improve some processes, solve some issues, and improve Kanban itself. It's very helpful. This is some basic rule, about Kanban. Let's start with something. When you are thinking, how to do it, how to design a perfect board, how to design a perfect Kanban process, start with something, Kanban is pretty, it's a great process. When I was doing it with some teams, as an example, it's self-improving process. Kaizen is inside this continuous improvement in Kanban is like an implemented thing. It will start to evolve through the usage. It will start to change and evolve itself. So when you decide, I would like to try it, but I don't know really how, or I don't know how to design a perfect Kanban board, start with something. Start with simple board, as I showed you before, with several columns, and start to use it, And you will see that you miss something, that you miss some details, or you miss some steps inside the board. Sometimes those lean coaches can help you to evolve with this. During this Kanban implementation, really we didn't change a thing inside the operations. There was an idea to create such a position like Kanban master based on Scrum master role, or Kanban architecture board or something like this, but we didn't change a thing, What happened after some time that some people inside the teams took over the process inside the teams itself. So they took care about the limits, they took care about, improvements, they were looking at the waste through the process, at different things, how they can improve their work. Because they were inside those teams, it was directly, influencing their work, how they work, and how they were living through in the organization. So I respect where you are, You don't have to change too much to start working with Kanban, in my opinion. As I told you, we've got over 100 people in operations working with Kanban, and they are supporting different products. And there was an idea, let's create a perfect Kanban rule set and let's apply it to every team, And this is like our Bible, You have to do it that way. But it turned out that those teams are different. The products are different. Team sizes are different. Competencies in teams are different. So we build this like a basic ground rule for Kanban, that you have to have VIP limits, work in progress limits, that you have to, use board. It has to be transparent. You have to provide some data, but all the other stuff, you can change it, and you can do it as you want, as long as customer is happy, as your product owners are happy. So we've got a table with different rules described per each team. Gathering numbers, this is something that we've missed. We weren't focused at the beginning, on those numbers, but somebody asked us after some time, you guys, you are doing a bad job, we are not satisfied. And what do you mean? We are improving, we are changing our organization of work. I'm not satisfied, and the guy from my team asked me, we don't have any numbers, really to even show that we are improving. So start with gathering numbers. And Kanban has of KPIs like lead time, cycle time, several, KPIs at the very beginning that you should start gathering from the very beginning. We didn't do it. It bite us after some time. But after some time, I've asked every team manager to gather some numbers, I don't know, we gave them examples, gather some numbers, show it to me, show it to customers, show it to your team, and show it how they improve your process, how they improve your Kanban. So we've got like a bunch of different dashboards right now. Every dashboard is different in each team. They're available, to everybody. Every team has a different dashboard. There are plenty of numbers, trends, and all this stuff hanging around the office. This is the Jira from Atlassian that we are using internally, maybe not the best choice using Kanban, but this is what we have inside the company, and it also provides you some information. It helps a lot. Classification. We started to gather those numbers, and we've seen that that we are working better, but it turned out that we are doing different types of work. So those work items are different. Sometimes they are small, like a change in firewall, change in, I don't know, configuration. Sometimes deploying Oracle cluster takes some more time, usually. So we classified those work per size. It's like small, medium, large, and we just attach a label to each task that we are doing, and we gather the numbers per work item size. It helps us, to find. It's easier to find some improvements inside the process based on the work item size. It's quite easy. We don't have like a strict policy. What is small? What is medium? What is large? People are usually intelligent, and after some time they see, this is small, this is medium, this is large. Even if somebody will make a mistake, nothing happens. As a whole, it helps you improve the process. Same with priorities. Sometimes you've got like those silver bullets, like Heartbleed, OpenSSL patching, and sometimes they have to get through very fast. So it's good to have some priorities defined, at least after some time. And we do almost the same thing as with classification. We just use the field priority in our tool. And we define what is critical, what is major thing, what is minor thing. Critical is something that have to go through very fast. This is like this Heartbeat thing. But you have to define that you've got, let's say, you put a limit that you can have only one per and in a particular time period. So you're working only one silver bullet, no more, because it's disrupting the processes. This is like a standard priority, and minor is nice to have. After we have implemented this, what it turned out, those nice to haves are usually coming from the team itself. This was a self-improvement from the team. It would be nice to upgrade this thing. It would be nice to write a tool and to improve our work. And it turned out that 70, 80%, of those things are coming just from the team. It's not from the external customer. It also helps you, to get some visibility if what you are doing and where from this work is coming. Transparency. It was a striking experience for me because we had several massive DDoS attacks last year, probably as everybody, in Poland it was like a crazy times last year with DDoS attacks. So we had this project with DDoS, with sec team, with security guys, and we started to use Kanban with them, and they were pretty surprised, how to work with this. And this is one of the boards that we were using at the very beginning of the project. As you can see, it's kind of Scrum, You've got days, people, and tasks. And they started, to learn how to use those tasks, and how they were moving. Not done, not done, not done, not done, 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 done. At the end of the sprint, in this Kanban, it started to flow, and each week it was better and better and better. And they were even the SEC guys who usually doesn't like using that kind of tools. They started to see a lot of benefit for them and also organization of the project. And we managed to build with those solutions, and they work and they defend us, and they already turned out to be very useful. Those boards are hanging around the office. Anybody can access them. They are open and transparent. We also are using like monitors, standing TV sets, standing all around the office and showing those numbers to all the people. Rules, as I told you, we've got different rules per team. So we decided that we need to define those rules, how we are working, what is our process. The ground rules are all the same, but sometimes people don't know it. They are using Scrum, we are using Kanban, and different teams have different rules. So we've built a web page wiki with a description of our rules. Each team has a described rule set on their own, and it's very helpful for customers, but for team also. Team also knows how to work. New people coming, they have the knowledge. It's all transparent. You cannot say that I didn't know, how to do it. And after some times, also those lean coaches build us, some grades, about how do we follow Kanban. And as you can see, we've still got some red spots, so we've got a lot of place to improvement, inside the teams. So they do not follow the rules that they find in this wiki. Hunt for blockers, the pretty obvious thing, but when we started to use Kanban, we were just focused on doing stuff. And we had this blocked column, and it was growing and growing and growing. After some time, we decided, this is wrong, something is wrong, This block column shouldn't be growing endlessly. So let's not do anything if we have blockers, You have to count blockers to you in progress, to your work in progress limit. Focus on those blockers and get rid of it. It's your waste that you are removing. It improves your flow of your work inside the team. And I've got those, those are like 11 lessons learned during the implementation of Kanban inside the team. And right now we think this is the right thing to do, and we will follow and we will improve this process along. And we find it very useful, It's changed the way we are working. The transparency gave us a lot of, feedback from other people that are looking at those Kanban boards, and from the team itself also, showing those numbers, showing those boards. People are unconsciously looking if there is red or green on this board. If it's red, okay, we start playing, soccer and start doing stuff. So Kanban is very helpful, in self-organization of the teams. It's very much improving, and it's a lot of fun from my perspective also, because observing this was a lot of it get me a lot of relief after to working with ticketing system, ITIL, and all this stuff, all these comments from the development departments. So that's it what I had. I highly recommend this book. Dragos is here. He's the, hero from the chapter 4, and his case is described in this book. This is like a Bible regarding Kanban, I think. There is no better book, in my opinion, on the market. Go through it. There are many hints, about Kanban, how it works, what you should be focused on. There are plenty of other resources, like, of course, Phoenix Project, another Bible, Goal, and all those books. But regarding Kanban, start with this. This is like a great resource. And that's it, I think. Thank you. questions? Shoot.
How do you guys deal with like the urgent stuff that comes up, right? You know, like incidents, security incidents, like the silver bullet.
Yeah,
for those,
yeah.
or-
We've got this silver bullet lane, and it can be only one incident, and we focus on this, to get this done. But you have to limit this, so people don't come, this is a silver bullet, another one, and they skip the priorities, and everything is silver bullet. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Based on team capacity, of course. Some teams are smaller, some teams are bigger.
A couple questions. So, do you have someone that actually triages those incidents or any of the tickets coming in to reset the priority and severity on them in order to properly fill the swim lanes, if you will?
Yeah.
So that's the first question. The second one is, what kind of meeting structures really work? With Scrum, you have stand-up and retrospectives. Is there something do you find that you don't really need any kind of team meetings, and how that works?
With this, as I said, we were thinking about this Kanban master, and we've got one team that is working for payments, and then they took one of the Oracle guys and they made him a Kanban master, and he was happy about this, somehow. So he was like, with this, but this is payment side, PCI and all this stuff, so they take care of this in a delicate way. But in different teams, in other teams, there is always a person inside the team that takes care of the Kanban board, and looks at this, Actually, you don't have to ask them even. After some time, they just look, this is red, it will be looking badly, Marcin will come and he will be, and customers come and they complain. So inside the team, people are just growing, people are getting mature to use it. And this other question was?
What meeting structures work well? Like
meeting structures? Okay.
You do stand-ups and
Yeah.
retrospectives. I mean, waterfall, we have more structured meetings.
We did meetings, in some teams, we did like a daily stand-up, but it was very limited, like 15 minutes, and guys, you've got 15 minutes and focus what's important. And we are focusing usually on blockers, what is blocking us for doing things, about other things you can talk through the day, but let's meet at 10 a.m., 15 minutes, strict point, and talk about what is stopping us and how we can improve, how we can get rid of this. Usually like this, Yeah.
So in managing your blockers, do you have any best practices for how you start to clear those out if those blockers are waiting for somebody else to get work done? Because that is something we see where that blocked column grows and grows and grows because you need that app team to do something and they're just not getting it done.
You have to work it out with other teams. Simply, you have to find a solution. We had firewalls. We had a SEC team, that were saying yes to firewalls rule, to change the firewall rule. And it was the main blocker for most of the teams. And we said, in 99% of the cases, you say yes. Why do we ask you, at all, So we've changed some rule sets. And then we did the next step. We moved all the firewalls rule processing to the SEC team. So there is just one team doing the firewalls inside the organization. Another thing, is purchasing department. People are requesting some non-standard hardware, and everything is blocked by a purchasing department because the deliveries and times and it's growing and it's growing. So we were working with purchasing department, to get rid of it and get some, better delivery times or have built some bigger stock, So you have to look at what is blocking you and find just a solution. There's no like a, silver bullet for everything. Look what is blocking you the most, what is the most often blocker, and work on it. Yeah.
So you said you had a ticketing system. Were you able to exit that ticketing system completely, and how did you guys get out of it?
We've switched from, we were using Maximo from IBM, because it had...
Well, they all suck, so.
Yeah. But it had a pink elephant, certification in ITIL, it was cool, it had all processes implemented, and when we got into this Maximo thing, we were stuck, Every change in in this product was a nightmare, and costed us a fortune of money. And we used to be using Jira in the past, and we switched to Maximo, and then we said, sorry, we go back to Jira, and we just switched, some processes were dying just in Maximo, and we started to implement things in Jira. And Atlassian is working very hard, on changing Jira into also this green hopper thing that is called right now Agile, I think, Agile plugin or something, Jira Agile, yeah. So they are turning it into, they provide also, they bought the company that was developing the plugin for SLAs and all this stuff. So it's also Atlassian, the company from Russia or Ukraine, I don't remember really. So Atlassian is working very much, I think, to adapting this product to those processes, Scrum and Kanban. And we use it across companies, so there was no other choice, for us.
So earlier in the talk, you discussed how you took your teams and you broke them apart from a network admin team and DBAs, and you put them into products, right, all together. Can you talk a little bit about how that happened, maybe what that did culturally? Did you physically move people, change their offices around, make them locate together so they weren't, there's a lot of stuff.
Sebastian is laughing. Sebastian is sitting right behind you because it was like a nightmare for me, because I was working, I was building those teams. I had to tell them, these network guys that most of them I hired, we split you into different teams, and this was like I think a year of complaining. It's even now.
Only a year?
Yeah, just a year.
Even now, Marcin, it used to be better. You remember the times. It used to be better. We have no communication. We don't know what the others are doing. It's such a bad move. But when you ask the customer if it is better because they have a team that is supporting you. In the old times with those silos that Nathan was talking about in the morning, this movie and explosion, deploying an Oracle database required DBAs, system administrators, guys from data center, guys from networking to open the ports, and ticket jumping from the team to the team. Right now, there is one team, that takes care of it. They throw a ticket and they have to handle it somehow. Nobody cares,
Did you physically relocate them to be in with their team?
We've changed the teams. And some people left the company.
Really?
Yeah. We had frustration was growing and growing and growing and growing. And as they seen that we are not going to change our mind and roll back this, well, at least I think 5 or 6 people left the company. And that's fine,
How many guys per team?
From 8 up to 15, 17 maximum, because it's 15 people is too much to manage, too many to manage.
So one more question.
Yeah.
About the same time in your slide, you talked about how you guys had, I think you mentioned ITIL, right?
Yeah.
So you guys were very strict with your...
Yeah,
and then there was this conflict between these concepts of Agile and what the development team were doing and why you moved into a DevOps model. Can you talk a little bit more about, do you see ITIL as being inherently in conflict with what you've achieved, or?
No. Especially that we are, we are being owned by some South African company that is on the stock market, and we've got some King Edward something policy that forces us to use COVID and all those stuff. So we have to have those processes like change management and all this stuff. And we still use those processes. Kanban is just inside the team, is the way they are working, These processes still apply, You have to make a change.
So ITIL is sort of at a higher level and what
you're doing. We still have incident management, and there are still incident managers in NOC. They still gather those numbers about the incident and work on problems. We still are fighting with change management, it's a continuous fight with change management. We have an element of configuration management. It doesn't necessarily, it's not against one against each against other. Kanban is just the way that the team is working. It's inside the team, and ITIL is like on top of it. I was recently talking with ITSMF guy from Poland, and he was, Marcin, you are in those DevOps things. We are doing so much. You could show it to us, because we don't know what to do. With guys from ITSMF, guys that are working with ITIL.
Well, I mean, ITIL is itself a framework that doesn't prescribe an implementation,
Yeah.
right? So I guess the question is whether or not Kanban and these, can they be an implementation that is itself
Yeah.
ITIL compliant?
Yeah, even in this payment team that is, working under PCI and all these rule sets, they are using Kanban internally, and this is fine. They got certified each year, with Kanban board and everything.
If you weren't regulated, though, would you still use ITIL? Like
Mm,
you're creating your startup or something like that, no payments, no regulation.
Not at the beginning,
Yeah.
but some concept of it are not wrong. It's just doing the right thing. It's just sometimes the way that things are implemented are wrong. Our office, we have an office in Poznań, a headquarters in Poznań in Poland, and on the other side of the street we have a GlaxoSmithKline. And people are running away from this company just only because of those processes.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing, on our side, maybe almost the same thing, but they are done differently, Even the guy that was supporting the implementation of change management inside our company, we asked the guy that was in Glaxo, because how not to do it, So do it the way, do it the way that you would like to have, so that it gives you some value, not just the COVID thing for this King Edward something, stock exchange. So,
Guys, we have time for one more question.
Yeah.
You showed your like heads-up displays that you have around the office.
Yeah.
Do you have one of those per team? So basically, you co-located everyone in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Each team has its own dashboard, sometimes dashboards, because they find it useful and they find, that this information really helps them to improve. And it gives some information to customers, This payment side had a cool dashboard per Scrum team because they are supporting like 10 different Scrum teams, and the Scrum teams were complaining that, you're doing so much, so long, those tickets are stuck in you. So we did a dashboard, with a number per Scrum team, how many tickets is waiting. And there was like 1, 0, 1, 0, and 75 from the team itself, waiting. So it's per team, per situation, let's say, per product.
For higher level roadmap things that different products would have to share, like an underlying base, did you have a higher level dashboard?
I'm working on it right now, and actually we will be using Kanban. We've been discussing it last week, but for portfolio management, because we don't have MS portfolio project or other fancy tools, so we will use Kanban board for portfolio management inside whole team. Yeah, for all the projects.
Thank you.
We will see how it works. Thank you. Thank you, guys.